Hey, Ken, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for taking some time. Appreciate it.
No,
The wind yesterday was up. It wasn't crazy, but for balls that were traveling 60 yards in the air, I would think it would have had an effect. How difficult was it for Josh to put those two long ones to Gabe right on fingertips as a guy who's obviously played in that position before?
yeah. I mean, it's obviously not easy. I think he does a great job. Uh, Obviously, understanding where he's playing. He's had to deal with this throughout his career here, just knowing the weather we get here, and so he's got a good feel of what he has to do going into the wind versus going with the wind in terms of how much to put on it, take something off it, and let the wind take it a little bit. So, those are things that he's got a good feel for, and it really helps us to have a guy with the type of arm strength he does to be able to do those types of things.
How important was it for this offense to get a couple of one-play drives after the last couple of weeks? It was, 15, 17, 20-play drives to get up and down the field, even if it's just to put it out there and show teams that, we can still hit these big plays when we need to.
Well, obviously, I think it helps you whenever you can incorporate big plays like that. But I think the exciting part for us is we're just going to try to do whatever we feel like we need to in order to win a game, and not feel like we got to force things. And if it's there, we take it. If not, we work our progressions and trust our guys to get open and hopefully put the ball in the right spot and maximize rack.
Is there any one thing yesterday that made those plays more available?
No, I think it was just kind of the way the game was going, how based off the call, the coverage presented it, and just Josh and the receivers doing a great job. And then, a lot of none of those things are ever really going to happen without the line blocking. So, I mean, they did a great job up front, giving him enough time to do those things. So I really think it's a combination of a lot of things when you're able to do those things.
Thanks, Ken. I appreciate it.
Yep. No problem.
Coach Dorsey, Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports Cincinnati. Good win yesterday.
Good. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. Thanks for asking. Big day for Gabe Davis. How important was that for, his growth and his overall mental toughness?
No, I think it was good just to get Gabe back out there rolling again and kind of get back, obviously feeling good with where his body's at coming off that injury. So he's a warrior. He was able to fight through a lot of things and get back out there for us. And we're going to need him going forward. We need all of our guys. So it's great to see all those guys really kind of step up and make plays. And when he was gone, those guys didn't blink and they were able to step up and do some good things for us. So I think it's really good for us to be able to be multiple and be able to have a lot of guys contribute. And, so for Gabe to do that was big for us.
No doubt, Coach. Levi Wallace, he was targeted a lot, definitely on some of those big plays there. Was that a point of emphasis to go at him due to the familiarity and the tendency that you're accustomed to seeing?
I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, not really. It was just kind of the way the game unfolded in terms of where you are on the hash and the call you're making. To be honest, we didn't really set up formations like into the boundary just to get it on him or anything like that. We were just kind of we were running our offense and just kind of trusting our system. And I think that's kind of just the way the game unfolded, to be honest with you.
One more, Coach. Red zone. How do you think you could improve inside the red zone there?
I mean, I think it just comes down to one, just making sure we're putting our players in the best position to have success. And then two, going out and just executing and making sure we're doing all the little things we need to.
Absolutely, Coach. Have a good week.
Thanks. You too.
Hi, Ken. How are you?
Good. How are we doing?
I'm good. Get this video going here. So you're going to take a look at the Chiefs tonight. Obviously, probably haven't gotten too far into the film there. But if you just take a look at their advanced stats, I mean, they're getting pressure on the quarterback this year. Obviously, Chris Jones is a really good player. What have you seen so far in your early work in what they've been able to do? And obviously, you're very familiar with their personnel on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a good personnel. They've got great personnel, and they've done a really good job there creating depth and creating guys who can do some different things up front. And then two, I think they put those guys in position, and they're aggressive with their scheme, and they do a lot of different things to create issues for opposing teams. So I think it's a really balanced combination that they have between the two, and it poses challenges for an offense.
Mm-hmm. And then, with your running back situation, how tough is it? Obviously we've talked about this for weeks and weeks and weeks, but how tough of it is it when you have three guys that you like trying to get it going when you really don't run a lot? And it's almost like there's not a lot of available momentum type situations for any of them individually, even Devin, who touches the ball more than the other two.
Yeah, I mean, I think that all goes into it of, when you're deep in a position, being able to, get those guys enough touches. I mean, I've said it, I think before that, I mean, I love all those guys. All those guys are really good players and can help us win football games. So, you try to do what you can. And I think Coach Skip does a great job with the rotation in the game to try to make sure, one, they stay fresh, and two, each guy is rotating in there and having an opportunity. But it's part of having a deep room where it's, it is tough to kind of make sure those guys are getting a feel and getting enough carries. So, and then just numbers wise, I think part of it too is just the way things present themselves in the course of the game. If a team wants to load a box up, then other things present themselves. If a team's lighter in the box, then we run it. So I think all that kind of goes into the numbers aspect of the amount of carries.
And then one more, if I could, Spencer Brown obviously had the back issue in the offseason, took a while to get back until he can kind of get in the swing of things. It almost seemed like times he was a little bit frustrated because he wanted to get out there. I thought, just watching the game, maybe his best performance of the season yesterday. What did you see on tape from him yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you really kind of see that athletic ability and what he's able to do from a physical standpoint out there. And I think the great part is that he wasn't able to really kind of, obviously, like you said, work in the off season and work in training camp as much as he probably would have wanted to with the injury. So some of that technique stuff is still growing, and he's still learning, from Chrome and some of the different things that he's teaching. So it's exciting to see that growth and his continued development as the season goes on here, as he gets more and more reps.
Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Hey, Ken, John Worrell, AP.
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad. I know it's all situational and game planning, but come on. You got to admit that, being able to air it out the way you guys did yesterday does send a message around the league of what this offense is capable of.
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you're able to do that, then teams have to game plan for it. Teams have to, hold that, have that in the back of their mind that you have the ability to do that. But again, I think a big part of kind of how we operated yesterday was just Josh doing a great job going through progressions and when opportunities were there, when he took them, and when they weren't, he worked through his progressions and worked his reads.
How important, though, is that in going up? Not that you're looking ahead to Kansas City or whatever, but how important is a performance like that when you're going up against what is essentially your biggest conference rival, and knowing that you were able to air it out the last time you met and the offense didn't fall short, but the team fell short? How important is that, though, going into this week?
I don't know if it's any more or less important than if we're going in to play any other team the next week, to be perfectly honest. I think the biggest focus with this team and with what our focus is focusing on this week every week. And I think that's all you can do in this league. If you start looking ahead or start looking back or anything like that, then you're doing yourself and your team a disservice. So I think that's the thing, is we really try to focus on this week every week, where what we're trying to be in the now, and let next week kind of take care of itself when it arrives.
I get that, Ken, and I respect that, but I'm going to playfully ask. I mean, aren't the Chiefs the biggest obstacle standing in this team's way, and have been over the last 2 years?
I mean, it's hard to answer that question this year in week 5 or 6. there's still a lot of football left to play, and all we can control is where we're at right now. So, I mean, it's really something where, I mean, all that stuff kind of takes care of itself. You got to qualify for the playoffs before you get there, and you've got to focus on where you're at right now in order to have success. If you start, worrying about, well, this team's more important than that team, then it's just not the case in this league. If this league's there's too much parity in this league, and there's too much opportunity to go and get beat by a team if you're overlooking another team.
Fair enough, Ken. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, hi, Ken. With Quinn Morris, we saw in training camp in the preseason his ability to make the tough catch. Yesterday, he showed that off once again. The 3rd and 11 early in the game, went up top and made a tough catch on the swing pass, then caught that one over the middle later on the diving catch. How impressive has it been to watch him take advantage of increased opportunities this year, especially this week against the Steelers?
Yeah, no, it's been great to see. I mean, Q's worked his tail off to put himself in this position, and obviously his athletic ability and what he can do on the field, and just his overall knowledge of the system and what to do with that position has really grown exponentially with every rep he takes. And that's the exciting part about Q, is that, he just continues to learn and grow and get better and better. And I think it's the same thing in a lot of different positions. It's, we talked about kind of today, watching the film with everybody. It's you're building a bank of knowledge right now of, okay, you might have made a mistake, but at least now, hey, we can learn from it. And when it does present itself again, it's like, okay, I've seen that before. I know what to do. I know the mistake I've made. So that's the exciting part about Q as well, is like, with every rep he's learning, and every rep he's getting better, and whether it's good or bad. And I think that's a positive sign for him, that he's able to do these things while still learning and trying to improve at his craft.
Now, Josh has had a number of balls batted down at the line over the past couple of weeks. Is there anything you guys can do as a coaching staff, or maybe up front on the offensive line to help him out in that regard? Or is that something that he needs to do to make sure that doesn't continue?
I mean, to be honest, I think it's a nature of just the game of where teams are right now in terms of the front. A lot of these teams, if they can't get home on initial rush, at times they're working on getting their hands up. So, obviously we try to stress for our guys to try to keep their hands down, by staying engaged with them and staying aggressive. And then obviously, Josh is having a feel. It's one of those things that's tough for a quarterback, because the last thing you want them to do is to look down at the line and try to be like, okay, there's a guy right there, let me throw it around him. So part of that's just feel. Part of that is just, feeling the lanes and then, just at times luck, to be honest.
All right. Thanks, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Ken, going back to the running backs, just curious what you feel Zach Moss's role is amongst that trio with Devin and James.
I mean, again, I think with those guys, it's so hard to say, because that role could evolve each and every week, based off of flow of the game, based off of kind of who's rolling a little bit, and I think that's all part of it with these guys. It's like they might have a smaller role, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 games or something, and then all of a sudden 5, 6, and 7, their role picks up exponentially. So it's so hard to kind of predict when you've got a group of guys who can help you, and who you feel great about. It's not like we got one guy in there and that's the guy, and then the other guys are just there to spell them. We got multiple guys who can play the position effectively. So I really feel great about Zach. I feel great with what he's doing, the physicality in which he's running, the way he's hitting holes, the attitude in which he's playing with, and the attitude in which he has around the building. He's been awesome. So it's just, I think we just kind of are taking the mindset. We just got to keep grinding away, and those opportunities for him will come.
Yeah, because I know when he got into the league, it was at least perceived by many that Zach Moss was a power runner, a between the tackles, a short yardage guy. And we've even seen, to some extent, even predating you, that was kind of the role that he was put in Is that like his lane, but he can do more? Or do you think that would be pigeonholing him too much?
No, I really feel like Zach's a complete back. I really do. I think he can run inside, he can run outside. And he's really got really good hands coming out of the backfield catching the football. I mean, he's made some impressive catches throughout his career here. So I'm just a big believer of, like, I really don't want to pigeonhole a guy to be like, hey, this is our inside guy, this is our outside guy. One, I think we've got the type of backs who can do multiple different things. And then two, obviously, you always try to limit yourself from a tendency standpoint, or just handcuffing yourself as a play caller to say, okay, I got to get this guy in the game to run inside, or this guy in the game to run outside. I don't think that's a way to do it to give yourself the biggest advantage on offense.
Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, Ken, I want to touch on Josh's first 2 touchdown throws to Gabe Davis. The first one where he's in the end zone and has to step up and is kind of throwing into a Pittsburgh defender where he's not able to step up all the way into the pocket. And then the second one where the pocket just opens wide and he's able to launch downfield. But both throws were deadly accurate on the money. How difficult is it as a quarterback, maybe the first one where you're not able to always step up but still be accurate in that moment?
No, I mean, it is difficult. And that the first one was going in the wind too. So, I mean, to be able to get enough on it with obviously a little bit of push there and was great. I mean, it's hard to do. But I think it just goes to show just the work that he's put into just the overall mechanics in which he has. A lot of that you're able to do because your lower body's in good position. So you're able to hitch up because a lot of the power in which you throw with comes from your lower body and your legs and the torque in which you create with your legs. So I think just being in good position with a good base and being able to get his legs into the throw and his back, hip, and shoulder through the throw is a big reason why he's able to get that out there with the guy kind of creating an issue in his face right there. So those things are obviously big for us, as we always try to stress, not only just the X's and O's of things, but the teaching of the techniques and the teaching of mechanics and those different things that help guys in, now that one was early, but help guys in the fourth quarter when they're tired to really be able to fall back on a solid foundation of fundamentals.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, Ken, I want to go back to the explosive plays that we saw Josh make, those 2 to Gabe Davis. We hear all the time, the phrase take what the defense gives you, but what is the balance of that, but also saying, hey, we have a quarterback like Josh Allen who can make those explosive plays like that? I guess what's the balance of finding when to take those shots and what the defense is doing, but also not wanting to let them dictate what you guys do well.
Right. Yeah. I think you always try to dictate, and you always try to keep the defense off balance, but really what we've tried to preach ever since I've been here is being smart, not conservative. So, we want to make good decisions, but if an opportunity is there, we want to take that opportunity and take advantage of any matchups that we possibly can. So we really want to be smart, not conservative with the football. We don't want to get back and be like, okay, it's zone, we're just finding checkdowns, or it's man press and we're just taking shots downfield. We want to be able to have balance. We want to be able to trust our reads, trust our progressions, trust what we're seeing on the field. And I think all of that goes into that philosophy. If we do that, it all kind of takes care of itself. I don't think there's any magic number of we got to take this many shots or we got to, check it down versus this coverage every time. I think if you just trust reads, trust progressions, and play with a smart, not conservative mindset, that all takes care of itself.
Awesome. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Hey, Ken. I was curious, with Gabe dealing with this ankle injury over the last little bit here, and obviously he had his numbers are crazy yesterday. How much did that limit what you were able to call at all for him, what he was doing on the field in the previous games? Were those breakout plays less so because he was dealing with that? How did you kind of view what he was able to do prior to yesterday?
No, it's a great question. I mean, to be honest with you, what we try to do is just game plan and make sure guys are in the best position, to make the plays that they can make. And then honestly, after that, it's just you call the game and you trust that those guys are in the right position and go out and do it. And, look, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it works, it works. It's kind of the mindset I take. It's like, these defenses are so good nowadays that you really can't lose sight of the fact that, there's going to be things where guys have to get us out of bad plays. I'm not going to call the perfect play every time. I got to trust those guys that, Josh is going to give us out of a bad play, or Gabe or Steph or somebody's going to make a play. So that's really kind of the philosophy I take of, hey, let's spend the week trying to get guys in the right position of what they can do best. And then come game day, let's just call the game and trust our guys that they're going to go out and execute.
And then one other thing I was curious about, you've got a lot of questions about the running game and all of that, but I was curious for you, Josh being the leading rusher in so many games. I mean, I know it's early, but so far this season, is that a concerning stat to you? Is that okay? Like, how do you kind of view that? And does that need to change or stay the same? How do you view it?
I think honestly, it would be a lot more concerning if we called a bunch of quarterback runs and that's all we were doing, I think the vast majority of that is just Josh being Josh and doing, special things that he's able to do, creating when things either, break down or things don't present themselves within a progression. So I think that's more that than it is anything else. Some of the stuff with the running game is just whether it's an RPO that we throw because they're low in the box or play a 2-play check, that we get out of the run because of the look or whatever. I think those things are all stuff that, we kind of keep track of to make sure it's not like, hey, we're only throwing the ball. It's all drop back pass or it's all this. We do try to make sure, we're keeping track of how balanced we're being, but some of that is just because of the nature of what we're seeing.
Just to follow up on that, because a lot of it is just Josh being who he is as a quarterback, do you have to do anything to protect him from himself so he's not like taking these extra hits and that sort of thing and making those decisions on the field like he is?
Yeah, no, I think at the end of the day, it's when you're watching it and when you're talking about running, it's about being smart with your body and smart with with how you're either finishing runs or how you're running the ball. So I think he's very conscientious about that. You don't see him taking a ton of just big hits or multiple defenders kind of taking shots at him. So I think that's important, and then that just limits the physical toll on his body.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's all for today. Thanks, Ken.
All right. Thanks, guys.